Here in the United States, we do not live in a democracy. Most people don't know that. They think they do. We live in a republic. A republic where our elected officials do the voting for us and choose how to vote based on the highest bidder. So our republic is for sale. But you don't have enough money to buy it. I don't, and most of you watching this don't either. There's a few ways to change it. The most extreme would be, another revolutionary war, which I don't think is necessary. There's a lot of baby steps that we could do, and I have a list that I prepared that I think would get us in that direction. And the first thing I'm going to do is address the First Amendment that people claim gives lobbyists the right to buy our electorate. I'm going to read the First Amendment. The United States Constitution does not give permission for the government to be bought and sold. The phrase, which says to petition the government for a redress of grievances, is a formal in nature and should be obeyed by specifically outlining a formal process to petition the government in the appropriate branch for a specific grievance, not to buy them at dinner parties for $1,000 a plate. But in the process for all grievances should start in the courts. And if any court finds that a law or a lack of law is causing harm to any individual, then the grievance should go to the Congress for review and change, for the common good and the protection of both the majority and the minority of the population. Congress, in effect, should not be allowed to write any new laws unless the courts have referred a case to them to review. And common law should be non-existent. The decisions given by a court should be considered assignments to the Congress to make the laws more precise and simplified, not as laws themselves created from a judicial branch. And no bill should ever be allowed to be voted on if it contains more than one individual issue. This last thing we went through with the health care, people called Obamacare, but I don't like that name, because it took 400 people in the House and 100 people in the Senate to do it, had 2,000 pages, and the bailout bill that had similar amount of ridiculous number of pages, and most people didn't even have time to read it before they were expected to vote on it, and it had hundreds of different issues in it, when it should have just been one issue at a time. And the majority of Congress's time should be spent on reviewing and reconciling the income and expenditures of the previous, current, and next year with a mandatory balance. Lobbyists should not be given an upper hand over any individual citizen who can articulate his or her grievance regardless of monetary statute. No individual member of Congress should be approached individually, and all lobbyists should be required to address the entire Congress at once, and only in the building where votes are taken. Exceptions to this, to the meeting place, which should be very rare and only be allowed with the permission of all three branches of the government for the purpose of showing a condition that exists and needs to be addressed. And the whole of the Congress should be required to attend it at the lobbyist's expense or at the expense of the government, to be forcibly recovered from the responsible party that created such a condition that a field trip was warranted. Like a trip to the Gulf of Mexico to see how BP was, destroying the natural environment with their oil leak, and all the assets, are seized to pay for that trip and every thing that comes after that. All lobbying activities that provide a lawmaker with a benefit that has any monetary value should be declared bribery, and both the lobbyist and the lawmaker should be prosecuted criminally. Election advertisements should only contain excerpts from debates, and debates should not happen without the presence of every candidate, not just the top 2 or 3 political parties. And it should be illegal to raise or spend more money on a campaign than the salary that position will pay the winner over the course of the term.